I think the main thing that we haven't already touched on was Klay Thompson and his just horrific shooting right now. And they were talking about it after the game a lot, and I noticed it too, where he's dribbling a lot more, like because he's coming off the screen, but they're doing like the Celtics are actually doing a really good job of not letting him just shoot as soon as he comes off the screen. So he has to start dribbling. Like he was taking like 5, 6 dribbles and then forcing a shot. And I saw a stat from last night. He shot 1 of 13 on contested shots. And like I've never seen Klay Thompson take that many contested shots in a game. And I think he's just forcing it a lot because he knows he's still a good shooter. But I think he needs to take more of a back seat on offense. And like if it's not there, it's not there. Like he'll find himself in the flow of the offense, even if he's not putting up like even if he doesn't put up like 25 points, then if he just puts up like 17 on solid shooting and gets other guys involved, that's going to be way more helpful for the Warriors than when he's just shooting like 15 to 18 times a game, super contested basically on every single shot.
I mean, do you think, if anything, do you think obviously you said it and we all know it, Clay is a great shooter, but do you think that he's doing it because he feels like he needs to prove himself to be this guy that he was before he got injured?
I think that could be, I definitely think that's part of it. Like, I think he feels a lot of the pressure to be like this secondary scorer because he's like supposed to be the guy besides Steph.
Mhm.
And he's obviously not as good as he was pre injury, which, like, I mean, that was always going to happen. But his shooting is should still be like around the same. He's just not as explosive driving in, which is his problem. Like he'll come off the screens as they always do. They'll say like 2 screens. He'll run around them, but as soon as there's somebody on him, he tries to dribble inside, and he just doesn't have that like explosiveness to get away from defenders. And he's never been the most athletic guy, but now you can really see it. And I don't know. I feel like he needs to take a bit of a step back, maybe like play make a little bit more, even though it's not like the best thing that he does. Just kind of draw the defensive attention because I mean they're not going to leave him open. Like they're going to be hounding him because they know that he'll make him if they're open and then make the extra pass. Whereas I feel like last night he was just shooting every single time he got it.
I mean, and the other thing is too, like statistically, the Celtics have the best defense in the NBA, and through the eye test, you can kind of see why. They know how to switch well. They know how to keep the defender that was on someone still on them, get over screens and switch. Whenever they need to do like a kind of a scram defense. So if like a smaller guy is put on to someone that's bigger, they shoot Al Horford out there to kind of go and guard Draymond Green. The other guy switches back. But it's just yes, they have a good defense, but I agree. Like Klay Thompson, I mean, my thing is like, yeah, he's a great shooter and he's getting to defend it really well. And maybe it's a hard series for him and mindset wise because he almost feels like he thinks that he's being shut down because he's not good anymore. But in reality, it's the Celtics have one of the best defenses we've seen in a little while. They are really good and they know what they're doing. And I agree 100%. Klay Thompson needs to, in a way, transform as a player this series. Doesn't mean he's not a great shooter. If he's open, he shoots it 100%. Go for it. But I agree. If they're going to put someone good on him, then pass it out, move it around. And if you keep the ball movement going, then eventually he might even get open on that possession for a shot he can make. So I agree. He needs to be, like you said about Tatum, Thompson needs to be more assertive and understand, like, hey, you know what? I can't always shoot these shots. Let me go and be a playmaker.
Yeah, because he's just like yeah, like you said, if he's wide open, then obviously take it. And even like he can obviously take some contested shots. Like he's a good shooter, but yeah, he's obviously drawing so much defensive attention that they're going to be able to get somebody else open, or at least with a better look or a better matchup, because like it's always going to be somebody who's good at like who's good. Like I don't know, either Marcus Smart or like Jalen Brown or somebody's going to be on Klay Thompson at all times, drawing a bunch of the defensive attention. So he needs to be like a lesser version of Steph, where he brings the gravity of the defense out and it opens way more up.
Something I want to say real quick before we talk about the Warriors and what they're supposed to do or what we think they should do for game three. Uh, I meant to bring this up during the Klay Thompson thing, and then I kind of froze up because I lost my train of thought. Wasn't a great moment for me. But with Klay Thompson, so they left him in late in the game to try and find a shot again. And Obviously if he found a shot, okay, that'd be cool. He's playing against way like not as good players, right? I mean, when you paint Pritchard, who can't defend on you, you expect to make a shot or two. But he
Hey,
couldn't, he still did not make a shot. I feel like he did. I think he made, I don't even think he made one when he was out there for that garbage time. And this could be a slippery slope, but I think there's a lot of things to it. First, if Klay went out there and he made his shots, okay, cool. He found a shot back, and then he'll be okay. Like he'll be all right. The next thing is if he didn't play at all against in the garbage time minutes against anybody, he could say, you know what? I had a bad game. They have a good defense. Their starters knew how to guard me. Okay, that's fine. Go in the gym, shoot some more, and focus on the game plan. But here, what really happened though, and what we saw happen was he went out there, he went against played the garbage time minutes against people who, you know, aren't to his level, and you still couldn't make a shot. So do you think that made I know Steve Kerr is the coach and he knows what to do. He knows his players well. But I almost feel like that was the worst scenario, was to have him go out there and to have him continue to brick shots. But do you think that affects his confidence in any way? Because I mean, I know he's supposed to have a short-term memory and forget about it, and I'm sure he will. But at the same time, if you think about it and you're out there, oh my gosh, I couldn't even make a shot against Peyton Pritchard. How am I going to score off of Marcus Smart? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I think it might impact his confidence a little bit. I don't know. I can just see it coming from a mile away. He's gonna have like a vintage game, next a vintage Clay game next game. We're gonna look like idiots. But no, I agree. Like he hasn't. I don't know for a while. Like in the playoffs, really, basically the whole time, he's had like two or three like really really good games. Game six Clay or whatever against Memphis.
Dude, I
And then
swear,
in game
every
six,
time,
like one game early against the Mavs. I was like, okay, I guess. But overall in the playoffs, he hasn't played well basically at all. Like he's not the same defender. He's not like he's just not the same guy. And if the I mean, I don't know, if the Celtics keep, getting solid defense on him, then I don't think he's gonna be nearly as good as the Warriors might need him to be.
dude, I swear, every time Klay Thompson does something like good, or like, I know it's like cool, like, oh, if you score like 15, 20 in a quarter, like that's good. But I swear, like every time he does something halfway decent, it's always vintage Klay, because he's just like, is he even that good in, like, I don't get it. I swear every time it's not like, oh look, Klay Thompson's doing what he's doing. It's more, oh well, this is new. Like I didn't think I'd see him score this many points in a game. And I don't know why, but it's just like he's open. Like that's what he's supposed to do. Like I don't, enough of this vintage Klay. It's either he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, or he's just Klay Thompson. Like I don't know to tell you.
No, I agree. I don't know. I think the coverage on Klay Thompson is a little skewed. It's like people basically are like, "Oh, he's the same guy that he was before," and they're like trying to convince themselves he's the same guy. But whenever he plays bad, they're like, "Oh, look, he's just coming off an injury, like a crazy injury." Or whenever he plays good, they're like, "See, look, he's the same guy." I'm like, you can't have it both ways. Either he plays bad most of the time and he's not the same guy, or he's the same guy and you have to call him out for his terrible games like last night when he's 4 of 19. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like he's had a whole season to figure this stuff out. And I know he can get better, but it's like, what is he? Like, let's be honest. Is he top? He's not a top. Is he a top 20 player? Nah, is he a top 30 player? Like
Is he a top what?
30, 40? Like where is it? I don't know. I have to go through
He's a
it, but
top
he's not what he was.
50 player.
What?
The top 50 player.
Yeah, he's top 50.
It's
But
like
like,
between 30 and 50.
yeah, somewhere in that range, I mean, DeAndre Ayton's a top 50 player, like I don't know what to say about Klay Thompson. And he can get better. I know that, and it's Klay, but he's not that he's not that great. Like, is he number two? Is he really, like, on the Warriors, he's number two? But I remember
Not,
before,
I
like,
don't think anymore thinks that Klay Thompson is better than Draymond Green, though. Like,
I mean, I
I
think,
mean, maybe some people might, but he's not. Like, he's
well,
not Draymond Green. But he is the
that's,
number. I guess he's the number two scoring option. But like,
well, what I was gonna say was that the Warriors, when you look at them, no one on these, like, I remember before the injury when it was vintage Klay, like I used to say, if he was the number 2 and you threw him on LeBron's team, he'd be spectacular because that's the type of player LeBron needs, a spot up shooter. But and people used to say, "Oh, put Draymond on the Trailblazers." They kept mocking him or like mock trading him there for some reason, like send him over to Portland. He'll be a great 2 facilitator. But in my mind, I look at this team and this Warriors team, and obviously Steph Curry is a whole superstar, another level. Excluding him though, if you look at the team, they make it work because of the Warriors with Steve Kerr and just the players they have. And, no one really talks about it, but the culture they have there, it works. But if you were to take a player off the Warriors and like realistically, you might say Draymond Green's the 2 or Klay's the 2 or whatever, and you put him on another team to have him be that 2, they're not going to elevate that team. Like, I don't know how much they'll elevate them that much anymore. Like it works for Golden State, but does it work when he goes to someone else? Like, I just think the Warriors have such a good mesh and the chemistry together that they play better than what they are.